This podcast is brought to you by Kiwi Design, the leader in metaquest and VR accessories. And now you can deck out your device while supporting the podcast. The metaquest 2 is a great headset, but do you ever feel things could be a bit more comfortable? Well, we have the solution for you. With lens protectors, controller grips, face covers, head straps, link cables, headset stands, and more, including my two personal favorites, the top version controller grips with added weight and an extended handle, and the Kiwi upgraded Elite strap. Let's be real, we've all whacked our controller. Don't be the guy messaging Oculus support for your own mistake or waiting weeks for an out-of-stock controller. Visit the link in our show notes to prepare yourself today. After visiting the link in our show notes, make sure to use the promo code Ruff Talk VR at checkout, all one word, to take full advantage of your savings. And make sure to click the link in our show notes so the podcast gets credit and you help support us. Remember, whatever you need, Kiwi has you covered. We are excited to announce our newest Ruff Talk VR podcast sponsor, VRlist.xyz, a marketplace for VR talent that just launched April this year and already has over 100 members as of October. At VRlist.xyz, they believe the metaverse will usher in new opportunities for all those who partake in it. With that, they asked a simple question: how can you find VR creators? Unhappy with the results they found, it was time to take things into their own hands. They've embarked on a journey to simplify how those looking for VR services can connect with those who supply them. VRlist.xyz is an open marketplace for VR creators, instructors, entertainers, and proprietors to proudly showcase their talents and spaces to potential clients. And with already over 100 vendors listed, including Stratus and yours truly, VRlist.xyz is quickly becoming the premier VR talent marketplace. Again, that's VRlist.xyz to find the right VR talent for your needs. Hey everyone, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're joined again with the developers of Arcaxer. Yeah, this is
I'm always excited, but now I'm more excited.
Yeah, Arcaxer was the winner of our 2021 Ruff Talk VR, Game Award show, App Lab Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And, to close off 2022, it looks like they're moving to the official metaquest store. So that's awesome to see. So I'm glad to have you guys back on. We alluded to it. We reviewed this game. We interviewed you both in the past, but there's been some new content that's come since then. And
obviously exciting news.
Yeah. So do you want to tell our listeners, in case they missed those first couple episodes, exactly who you guys are, what Arcaxer is, and then, we can kind of go from there.
Yeah, of course. I'm Anthony with Overrun Games. I do all the programming on the game.
I'm Aaron with Overrun Games. I do all the 3D art.
And Arcaxer is our project that we've been working on for about 3 years now. It is a turn-based RPG with a third-person overworld. So when you're exploring the overworld, you have this third-person kind of god view, diorama view of your character. And then when you enter a battle, it goes into first person. And we have this kind of turn-based system where on your turn, you're aiming your weapons and doing gestures for your spells. And then on the enemy turn, you're actively dodging their attacks, and it kind of turns into this 3D bullet hell.
Yeah, it's one of those games that I think a lot of people want this genre on the official Quest store, but we say it, endlessly.
Oh, you've been saying that since the beginning when we started playing it.
Yeah, not everybody knows how to navigate to App Lab or anything like that. So having this on the official Quest store, I think is going to be huge. So, last time we had you on, the ending of the game was good, but it felt like that there was a little bit more to come. I think you guys have dropped some updates since then. So do you want to tell listeners about, kind of what's been happening in the world of Arcaxer?
Yeah, definitely. So I don't know if our casino malware patch was done the last time we were on your guys' show, but I'll talk about it anyway. So we added some post-game content since then. So there's a whole 2 more post-game dungeons now to explore. There's 3 more major story bosses after the main story. We added like new mini games. So there's like casino mini games and stuff. And then kind of a whole new chunk of story. So that was the casino malware patch. And then for our launch on the MetaQuest store, we did what we're calling the overclocked update, which is we went through the whole game. We did a whole bunch of polishing. We added new abilities, new overworld puzzles. We added new music, new sound effects. We added a new secret boss that you can access at the very, very end of the game which is kind of a teaser for what we might be working on in the future. And then in addition to that, if you're playing on Quest, we have the new mixed reality mode, which I'm really excited about. That allows you to do battles in a pass-through mode where it'll take away the background of the arena and replace it with your actual environment, which is really cool. So when you're like fighting monsters, it'll look like you're fighting them in your living room or your bedroom or wherever you are.
It's a lot of fun. It really ups that excitement, especially if you just dropped $1,500 on the Quest Pro. You get the color pass-through mode.
I was actually going to ask, we've been, I don't think we'll be having Quest Pros at that price tag, but the color pass-through feature is probably the most attractive aspect of it. Face and eye tracking is cool too, but color pass-through is a whole new level. So I was going to ask, is this going to be compatible with the Quest Pros, color pass-through? So that's awesome to hear.
I like the whole idea. I'm just dying to try like the mixed reality.
Oh yeah,
It's really fun. I play it on probably about 75% of the time.
I was going to ask.
What I like about the mixed reality is just the fact that I can be more aware of what's happening around me while I'm playing.
Yeah.
I can step on the dog's feet less when he's walking around.
Well, I always say that that there's a lot of potential with it even when you're doing it with the Quest 2 and it's those black and white kind of blurry infrared cameras, even that low quality is so enjoyable. That's how my home environment is. We do like the Oculus party chat, so he'll join my pass-through environment. Obviously, he can't see my room or anything like that, but it's cool watching his little meta avatar float around. And like I said, it's these crappy black and white cameras on the Quest 2. But even that is so awesome.
It's still cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I use, and I honestly like it. Full color pass-through is really cool, but the black and white adds kind of an extra separation to reality. It's fun.
Well, I think especially for a game like Arcaxer, that is, most likely, our listeners don't know the storyline. It's really cool. It involves like, your data being kind of stolen and harvested and sold and made into these digital characters. And, I don't want to give the whole storyline or anything like that, but I feel like those blurry black and white infra cameras actually probably add to that vibe a little bit.
It's very Johnny Mnemonic, yeah.
So that's awesome. Do you want to actually tell our listeners a little bit more about the story in case that they've never played the game and, they're interested in these types of RPGs?
Yeah, of course. So the world of our game takes place in a virtual simulation just called the Sim. And the Sim is kind of this like server where all this system has like gone out onto the internet and it's gathered everyone's data and it's created these kind of personas based on their like social media profiles and just information that they put out on the internet in general. And then it's created these things that we call entities, which are just like the inhabitants of the Sim. When you start the game, you're captured by this entity called Taskmaster, and he's basically like capturing all the new entities that come in that get generated in the Sim, and then he's forcing them to fight for him up this giant dungeon called the Stack. And the reason why he's doing that is there's this treasure at the top. Nobody knows what the treasure is, but he knows what it is, and he's trying to get there first. So he's forcing everyone to fight for him. And that's kind of how we start the story off. And of course, there's a whole bunch of new developments after that you'll have to find out by playing the game.
Yeah, really cool characters that you'll meet along the way too. That some of them really stick out to me as well. So,
there were some areas I ran for my life though. I literally just took off. How the hell can I get off this floor?
And it's a really cool, open world RPG game that it combines that top down, classic RPG view that I actually, I think that style of gaming does work really good in VR, but then it's time for combat and you go first person. And like all different RPGs, there's stats, there's different, spells that you can equip, different equipment. So the game...
Yeah, Anthony really designed the game top down to kind of capture that classic, Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy feel where you can put a lot of time into it. When we started on this project and the project before it, VR was still really, really, really rough, and games were like 10 minutes long, and you were like, yeah, that was a good $5. So he really tried to make it, that classic JRPG grind and level and build and expand.
I actually personally think it's one of the harder games to try to describe to someone without them physically seeing it, because there's so much, even to the detail of the background, the stuff on your character. when you're skateboarding around. And
Yeah, and I feel like video never does VR justice. Like you have to be in there and you have to experience it.
It's an experience. That's the word I was going for.
Yeah, so being in there and doing the combat and going from the first person, exploring in the third person, and finding the cool stuff in the environment. Maybe the treadmill, you're gonna up your health with
Treadmill still to
Yeah.
this day, hands down, one of the best things I've seen in a game for a reward system.
Yeah, we joked about that a lot on the last episode, the last interview we had with you guys. But there's this treadmill in this game that you can seemingly get endless health with if you're willing to put in the exercise.
You got to work.
know?
It's
Yeah.
not free.
Yeah.
It'll take some energy.
So you mentioned there's bonus content, which I think is crazy because, well, it's not crazy in a good way, because this is one of those probably the longer story experiences I've played on the Quest 2, which was one of the big reasons, besides it being a missing genre on the official store, that I was like, dude, there's a lot of content in this game. Those last levels, those bonus levels, how much time am I going to need to spend on the treadmill to be ready for this?
That's a good question. The bonus bosses are quite a step harder in difficulty. I remember showing them to our friends at Well Played Studios, and he's just like watching these bullet patterns come at me, and he's just like, how is anyone going to beat this? Are you serious? Hey, you got to go on the treadmill. It's simple.
Hey, I think that there's something about things that are so hard that it feels like you shouldn't win, but they are winnable. We've been playing this game, Mother Gunship Forge, a lot. And there's this last boss that doesn't feel like it should be winnable. It just doesn't. But you can win it.
It is.
And it makes that reward so good. So I think sometimes, I don't know, there's a lean
I don't know
in.
if I was looking forward to hearing the boss is substantially harder than everything else I've gone through. I'm not going to lie. But it excites me, though,
Right?
Whenever I take time to sit down and play Arcaxer, it hits that Dark Souls scratch. You go up against a new enemy and they have a new attack pattern, and you have to learn, like, where's my safe spot? When do I go down? When do I come back up? It's really fun to have that feeling when you can, like, perfect 100% an enemy that used to floor you. It's a good time.
And like all, great RPGs, there's classes in this game. So right off the top, that sets, the replay value a little bit. But I know I asked this last time, but remind me, and perhaps your answer has changed. What classes do you guys play as?
As far as the original base 3 classes, I think my favorite has to be the Thief, just for the hack called Aragiza, which randomly casts any hack in the entire game. I just love the chaos of that. And as far as the challenge classes, I really like the Dark Knight, which, for those that don't know, is a class that gets a random passive or hack from any of the other classes or any other place in the entire game. So basically, every time you play as that class, your experience is going to be completely different.
Yeah. My favorite base class is still Thief, for a different reason, though. I really like on your turn, you can defend and bat back the enemy balls. So it makes me feel like Link at the end of Ocarina of Time. Plus, it's free damage. It's maximal. But my favorite challenge class, which I don't know if we had challenge classes in when we talked to you, but Blue Mage is really fun. Anthony designed another, 100 or so crazy actives and passives that you steal off of enemies throughout the game. So every enemy has, ability or a passive or a hack that you can steal. And the bosses have really cool stuff. And some of them are stupid and ridiculous, and some of them are awesome and overpowered. It's a fun class.
So what's the total number of classes we're up to at this point?
Kind of wondering now.
We're at 5.
5?
Okay.
That's impressive. So, I mean, geez, how many hacks and special abilities and effects is that? That's got to be in, close to 1,000, right?
No, it's a lot.
It's a
I don't
lot.
know the exact number, but it's definitely in the hundreds at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I say to people, it's like, this isn't, everybody's going to have their unique play style, but there's a lot of different ways to play this game. We even saw that we play games in party chat, even if it's single player, it's good to get each other's feedback as we're playing. Sometimes there's some comical moments, especially in things involving dying. We had completely different play styles, the whole way through, and it's cool to see two people both, have
I spent a lot of time on the treadmill. I'm not gonna lie. There was like little days that was my play. I'm like, I'm not trying to do anything other than get on this treadmill.
Well,
It
again,
sounds so stupid, but
Sometimes it's just too hard to dodge those attacks.
the payoff is worth it. I'll say that.
Yeah. Look, I'm going to be a little bit of a tank here. I'm just going to kind of eat damage a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, I hate asking this question to developers because, you're constantly putting out content, then somebody goes, is there plans for more? I feel like it's the,
Well, I'll disclaimer and say I'm blown away
Yeah.
at how busy you both have been since the last time we
Mhm.
talked, because it seems like nothing, there's been no slowdown. There
Mhm.
wasn't like, so we're taking 6 months off. It's like this push.
Yeah, I mean, I think before technically it was still listed in, you guys had it as what, like early access technically, even though it didn't feel unfinished.
I'm not 100% sure. I know, I think March of last year, we published like our final patch on the core game, or not final patch, but like everything was in there.
Mhm.
I think we had talked to you after it was like finished, but we hadn't
Okay.
quite started working on the casino malware, but I could be a little fuzzy.
Yeah, time goes quick, especially with, you guys are working
Oh, in the
on
world
so
of
much.
VR, it goes lightning fast.
But is
Yeah.
the game done in terms of new content, new classes, or do you guys still have things up your sleeve?
So for the first game, we're probably not doing any more major patches. I'm sure we'll do, bug fixes and
Mhm.
maybe little fun things here and there, but nothing like on the level of like the casino malware patch that we've done. But most of our efforts are now being focused on our next game, which we're super excited to hopefully start showing some stuff off here.
Ooh,
Are we allowed to discuss any of
Yeah.
the pretense for this future
Example,
game?
is it in the Arcaxer universe, or is this something, related, or is it something
Totally
completely
different.
Yeah. So it is. We're tentatively calling it Arcaxer 2. So it is definitely in the Arcaxer universe, and I don't know how much I should talk about the story or anything, but I will say we've been playing around with some new combat ideas. Actually, if you play the secret boss in our new patch, you can kind of see a little bit of the changes I've been playing with to the core combat. So that's kind of a cool preview we have at the very end of Arcaxer 1. You can kind of see like, ooh, what's the next game gonna play like?
There's
Okay.
also a bit of a spoiler for one of the environments for Arcaxer 2 as well,
Yeah.
which is good.
Ooh, so
But you have to make it there.
yeah,
That's
and
the
Yeah.
key thing. You have to make it there.
and be able to beat the bosses and the enemies at that level too. There's it's not just as simple as go peek in and you'll know, but that's a good reward for anybody who hits that point.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes our players, they'll post their action footage of them playing, and the amount that they can move and avoid and cheese just right is pretty impressive.
well,
And then I will say another core thing that we want to build into the next game is co-op.
Oh
It's
yeah.
the
Fundamental.
biggest feature requested by far. So I want to make sure that that's definitely going to be in there from the start.
oh, that's dangerous for my playtime. That is
That's yeah.
Yeah.
man. Every game that we
It's a
play,
game
yeah,
changer.
everything's better co-op for us. Selfishly.
Especially in VR.
Mm-hmm. I
Makes
think
more
Yeah.
I think
That's one thing that we've learned, is that people really enjoy VR as a social group activity, which is neat. It's surprising, but it's really cool.
Yeah, I didn't personally expect to be as like sold on the whole multiplayer thing, but knowing that I can play with them anytime I want,
Mhm.
it's like it feels real.
Mm-hmm.
Then
It's one thing like a multiplayer game, it's a first person shooter where you're playing against 16 other different people, but like
Mhm.
co-op experiences are
Yeah.
they're huge.
those stick out to me as the best.
Yeah.
That's a different level. So and when I hear tentatively titled Arcaxer 2, that instantly makes my brain think spin-off versus like direct continuation, but I don't know, I'm excited. I'm already speculating.
already making
Well,
guesses.
that's nice to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely going to key off a lot of similar themes, and it's still going to be broadly sci-fi tinted for sure.
And
It'll be familiar and comfortable.
yeah, it's a cool world concept with a lot of lore potential. So I'm glad to see that that's not abandoned. Like I love the idea of
I'm getting worried about my treadmill.
yeah.
I think we'll make sure we have a treadmill 2.0 for sure.
Yeah.
It's like the concept of the harvested data and then it's made into entities in an online game. Like, oh, that could probably happen. And then you got to worry about what internet trolls.
Yeah.
Enemies. Oh, that's how you get the taskmaster. He's probably the ultimate internet troll out here hacking Rockstar and stuff like that. So,
True.
ooh, that's exciting. I'm sure you don't want to say anything, locked in stone because it sounds like there's still, a lot to do.
Still
But
pretty early, yeah.
yeah, do you have an idea of when you'd like to see this game in the best case scenario released? Are you hoping
No, best
for
case scenario would be tomorrow. That'd
Yeah,
be the
but
best.
are you shooting for like 2023, 2024, or is it still way too early to talk, going the thrill of the fight route? We're not going to skip
It,
it.
it's a little too early, but I'm going to say it's probably going to be at least a couple years out at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 years
But-
is a pretty good dev cycle.
Right. But of course, along the way, we're definitely going to be showing off a lot of stuff,
Yes.
and hopefully maybe having a demo at some point, just to
Yeah, now that we're
keep
like a
some
real
curiosity.
company, we're gonna have to be a little more careful about how we do demos, but I do definitely still want to
Yeah.
get people in the game for like horizontal slices periodically.
I will say, I think we put too much content in the demo for Arcaxer 1,
Yeah, we're trying to think about that.
which is a good thing for people that want to test it, I guess.
Yeah.
That's an important thing to note for the listeners. If you haven't played this game, there's like you said, a very generous demo, maybe overly generous demo.
You mean a game?
Yeah, if you want to try before you buy, because the game, I believe, how much is it? It's $24.99, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah, that was it when we first stumbled on it. That's one of the more expensive App Lab games, but that's irrelevant now that it's going to official Quest store.
Yeah.
That it's very nice to be
value for money category. It hits it.
Oh yeah, but it's very nice to be able to try before you buy. And so you're planning on doing some sort of trial demo, even if not as long, for the sequel as well.
Maybe something you have to sideload just so
Yeah,
the true fans get in there.
Yeah.
This demo is going to be more of less of a test the game out before you buy it, more of a teaser for the next game in general.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That especially when now that you guys are a little bit more established. I see Arcaxer too. I'm already excited versus when you don't know what Arcaxer
Yeah, I don't have
is.
to play it to know I'm probably going to want it.
Well, especially with co-op,
Well, yeah.
that's a problem.
That's true. Yeah.
You had me at Arcaxer.
We're gonna get some nerds real jacked, just playing with their friends and dodging all day.
You'll be sitting there having one guy spot off the treadmill. Come on, bro, keep going. 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Health's almost at
Just
1,000.
coaching him.
Yeah, we got a couple mini games already. We had a couple more. We make a gym corner. Bro, get off the treadmill. It's my turn.
Yeah, come on, bro. Can you spot me? I need to lift.
Oh yeah,
there we
dude.
go, yeah.
Getting your friends together for a gym day in Arcaxer 2 sounds kind of awesome.
I mean, that guy, one of our
We're-
Discord members, he would absolutely love that.
Yeah.
You can have people role play as One Punch Man, So you're
Yeah.
doing a bunch of push-ups,
Do
sit-ups.
100 squats every day.
There's
Now we're
reward
gonna do
for it, though.
Yeah.
we gotta do the squat and push up mini game now.
the gamifying exercise, because this is one of those games that you don't play it to work out.
No, yeah.
Might
It is very, very exercise second, but boy, yeah, your core feels it.
especially with the adrenaline of it. It's it's one thing to make yourself do those movements, but you're getting shot at. There's something about it psychologically that's your heart's moving a little bit faster. It's kind of like Until You Fall. So I don't know. I love the whole gamified exercise thing.
Yeah, that super layer of unreality and like achievement, and your hero being there doing cool stuff makes it a lot easier to burn those calories.
And there's a lot of cool stuff going on in your Discord server. I've been seeing some of those notifications going on. Do you want to talk a little bit about what's going on in there?
Yeah, definitely. Our Discord got hacked last week, and we've been doing some some fun ARG stuff. Been putting like cryptic messages, kind of teasing the release, or we were teasing the metaquest store release about a week before it actually went live. We've been doing actually on our Twitter right now, we have a fun little contest where if you can decode the messages we did from last week, you can win a copy of the game.
Zcat already won.
Oh, good. Oh, I missed that. Oh,
Yeah, he was locked and loaded.
Congratulations to them.
So all the more reason to join the Discord server.
Yeah,
You guys are
definitely
having
fun
fun over
place.
there. Yeah.
We try to keep it exciting.
I saw the notifications. There's really cool, fonts going on. I was like, oh, let me see what's going on here. And I was like, all right, that's really cool. That makes sense. And I can't say enough. I was so excited to see when I saw that news that you guys were going to the official store.
Thanks, guys. All the support we've gotten from the community and from people like you has made it possible to suffer on App Lab for a year.
So I definitely want to know. We've talked to people from Meta, and we know that they have their required standards that you have to meet to get your game into the store. Was there a lot of back development you had to go back and fix for frame rates or anything like that, or was it just more
when we talked to Tommy, the developer of Daysim, which, not Deism, Daysim, shame on me for doing a whole podcast review calling it Daysim. He said it took him like 6 months to get it, frame rate ready on the Quest 1 because it had to have backwards compatibility too. So 6 months of getting it ready for the official store for him, Did you guys have, any headaches like that? Like Stratus said, any back end work that needed to get done?
Yeah. So yes, same as is it pronounced deism or
It's
deism?
deism, yeah, like deity, deism.
No, it's Daysim. I always said deism
I
based
was
off
always
of
calling it
deism because that's how it looks like it's spelled. But then he was pretty adamant with it.
Okay, I'm glad because I've always wondered, and I'm glad to have that sorted out.
It's Hey, I made the mistake with Demio when it first came out. I think I was calling it Damio at first.
Oh yeah.
Demio. So assume is it called Arcaxer? Because chances are, if I'm calling a game something, it's not.
Yeah,
not
that's
Arcaxer.
Arcaxer.
Yeah. So yeah, it's Daysim.
Okay, good to know.
I guess not everyone
Anyway.
has deicide on their list of
Yeah.
regular used words.
True. But yeah, just like him or their team, we also had to make sure we were still supporting Quest 1 because we were on App Lab originally as a game that supported Quest 1 and 2. So even though the amount of Quest 1 users is pretty low now, we had to make sure it ran at the required frame rate for Quest 1, which I was kind of worried about because there were some sections in our game where the frame rate did drop below acceptable levels on Quest 1, like the hub, for example. If you're like right in the center, there is a lot of detail right there, and sometimes the frame rate would drop below. So we did have to spend some time going back. The meta QA team is pretty thorough, and the performance is like one of the number one things that they want to make sure that you're hitting. So we did spend I think about a month in the QA process going back and just they'd the standard QA process, they'd play through the game and say, okay, frame rate dropped here and here and here, and then I just have to go in and fix it. One of the solutions that I had to implement was what I call a Quest 1 performance mode, which is where I specifically kind of lowered the graphic fidelity in some places, specifically on Quest 1 to hit those performance targets, which people that had been playing in Quest 1 already on App Lab might have been disappointed to see some of the graphical fidelity lower a little bit for them. So as a as a solution for that, I actually added, if you go into your save file, you can actually turn off Quest 1 performance mode if you want the old graphics back and don't mind getting some frame drops here and there.
Yeah, a couple of our regulars on Discord immediately turned it back to the old mode. It certainly wasn't to the point of like 5 frames a second. It's not that immediate vomit-inducing halting. It's just a couple of dips.
Yeah, when Tommy was talking to us, he was saying that even when it wasn't hitting the frame rate requirement, it was still you couldn't notice the difference really even between.
Yeah, you're not gonna feel it or see it.
But that's cool to hear that the meta team caught it. Hey, you're not getting anything back. They're actually checking their work. They're putting in a lot of work.
Oh no, they're pretty.
Yeah,
but that's
quite
awesome.
thorough.
That's awesome. They tell you exactly where it's to, so it's not like, hey, this frame rate drops. Nope, go back, and you're like, oh damn, where? And you got to get through the whole
right.
thing. That's cool. They're
and
like,
quite specific. Yeah.
What surprised me is that they only got like, I don't know, maybe a week for each like segment of testing, and our game's pretty long, so I kind of wasn't expecting them to get that far in the game because they have multiple testers playing it, and obviously they're being very thorough, making sure they test every corner of the game. And yet by the end of the week, I was getting bug reports from the end of the casino malware patch.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I did not think they were going to get that far. That's kind of crazy.
No, it's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
I like to hope that was like the best week of their job for the last year.
That's a pretty good job. I mean, granted, doing anything analytical where you got to really monitor frame rates, record everything, that's when work starts. It might not be as fun, but conceptually, the idea of being
playing,
that part seems a lot of fun, especially when you get a game like Arcaxer and it's like, well, might have to play this one a couple times.
I can't believe they're breezing through the thing so fast.
Yeah. Well, we have a console for them to.
Yeah, we gave them cheating tools, so if they got stuck on anything, they could
infinite health and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No, I have worked QA before, and there's a difference between running analytics on a game that you hate and running analytics on a game that you like. So hopefully they had a good week.
That's awesome. Yeah. Hey, it's a hard. Anybody
Well,
who likes.
to go into the store, so yeah, they liked it.
Well, I'd like to think that the team's big enough over there at Meta that they can go, all right, we got a first-person shooter game. Who likes first-person shooters? We got an RPG game, not versus like, hey,
I
oh
like
man,
puzzles only.
yeah. Why? Come on, man. They gave him the RPG. He hates RPG. They're my favorite.
You gotta watch your buddy playing for 8 hours.
Meanwhile,
This is a pretty good sitcom premise right here.
yeah, you're playing football and you never watch football. He's over there with jerseys on his desk, like this fucking asshole.
Guys, who's Brat Favre? I don't. Why is he so good?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man. So, but that's actually really cool. To know that they really have people going through really being analytical
with a comb.
Yeah, and that's why you see that report during.
I'm actually willing to bet the playtesters don't even probably watch the frame rate. Somebody else monitors that.
Yeah, who knows how big it is? Your brain could go.
They've got a thing that like auto captures and flags frame rate dips.
Yeah,
it's pretty advanced stuff.
We were talking to Chris, the developer of Ultra Wings. He's a funny dude to say the least.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah, he was saying that he'll play other games and monitor the frame rate with the dev tool while he's playing it.
He will call you out for it as well.
He was talking some crap about someone. She's like, I know that they're not hitting the frame rate at every time. He was a funny dude. So yeah, I can only imagine the QA team.
That's kind of funny because I was playing Bone Lab, and every time I notice the frame rate starts stuttering, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I also I got a little vindictive when I tried out Bone Lab. It was a good game though.
I feel like some quality, some standards are lessened for others. Just like, hey, not everybody can be Quest 2 only, but there is some Quest 2 only games. Yeah, I feel like some things are skirted for some,
There's definitely a little different treatment. Although I will say our meta rep has been fantastic, and he got us through this whole process as pain-free as it could be, probably.
Yeah. And they're playing your game, they're actually
he's a VR enthusiast, and it's been a great time.
Yeah, every dev we've spoken to said the liaison they had for Meta Direct to them was like they felt like they were really there to help them and didn't leave you out hanging and gave you feedback when necessary. Obviously, they don't do all the work for you, but
they'll at least tell you what to do.
I love the attitude that they seem to have, that they really truly want everybody to win it in whatever capacity they're in the industry in, and they're not there to.
Well, that's the benefit of revenue cuts. If developers win, they win. I mean, hey, it's silly, but it's true. It's like
they they could be totally different attitude if they want.
Like we saw the report that 1/3 of official Quest apps or games. Yeah, I don't think it was restricted to games. I think it was apps in general, and there's a lot of free apps as well. So keep that in that statistic too. I don't know if they were counting just paid ones, but I don't think they were. So 1/3 of them passing 1 million plus in sales.
Yeah,
huge.
You don't get that unless you're strict with your your standards and you're there.
Oh no! After talking to Chris and hearing because we both were. How come this isn't on the official store? We would just cry about it every time we played a great App Lab game with no concept of this whole ecosystem that they've really are working hard to put together for all the right reasons. And when he diced it down to us, I keep my pie hole shut now.
Yeah. Well,
now it's more of I wish I could see this on the store, not a why isn't it? Because it could be a litany of different reasons why it's not.
Yeah, we had interviewed Chris Pruitt, the head of the content ecosystem for
ecosystem.
Meta. Yeah,
ecosystem. Love that term.
And it's I can't say anything now because half the game, I'm probably more than half the games I ranted to him that I wished were on the official store are already on there. Store. So now I only got a couple more. I got Color Connect, Wingle, Atlas, Swordsman VR. Those are probably the last hanging troops in the meantime. I mean, geez, it's been really cool to see that 2022 class graduate.
Yeah, it's been really neat to. I have several Google alerts set for App Lab, Arcaxer, MetaQuest, and the dozen or so games over the last year that have moved from App Lab with us. It's been really neat to see, especially games like Ancient Dungeon, which has kind of been a pure game with us on side quests the whole time. App Lab at the same time. It's really neat to. I'm glad that we made it with them. It would have been a bummer if we didn't get to move up.
It really seems like 2022 they've been making a big push to start moving these App Lab games over to the official store. So
the wheels are in motion.
Yeah, it seems like things are moving now.
Well, again, I think for a lot it's going to be a well-deserved if they're willing to put in the work into their product to meet the criteria, and it's filling a void that in a lot of cases, these people such as yourself are going to be the first ofs for that type of experience someone's going to have. So that's their like minimum foundation for. It's just exciting to me.
Yeah, and if you look at what they're looking for genres that aren't oversaturated. They're looking for story-based games. They're looking for developers who continually add updates and work on their game. They're looking for games with strong communities. Arcaxer checks every box. Yeah.
No, it's huge. I can't be happier for watching these. We talked to you guys now. This is the second time. Depending on your futures,
I don't think it's going to be the last one.
Yeah, there's so much more to come. It's ridiculous. But when does it get to the point that all these devs that we know they're pretty much ballpark size of their studios now have developed to where it's like you guys are suit and tie in it, and there's a CEO and fucking Harry won't get the email anymore if we send it. What the hell,
can't make jokes to each other because we got the HR department. What the hell,
it's like there's going to be these growth over the years to a lot of these studios that where they are today or last year is not where they're going to be 5 years from now.
They're little embryos right now. So I mean, how big is the team right now? Is it still is it you two or
two?
It's us.
It's freaking amazing.
We might be bringing on some other people through our publisher for the next game, but we definitely don't want to scale too fast.
And did you have a publisher for this one, or was it self-published?
Sort of, yeah.
So our publisher is Well Played Studios, which is actually the company I work full-time for. So it's a kind of a unique situation where I was working for them during the pandemic, and I basically had this game, and I was like, hey, like, if you guys were willing to publish this, like, would you be willing to let me work on this full time under basically my own salary? And they're all like, yeah, totally. So that's kind of how we brought them on board.
Yeah, it was about halfway through, and yeah, they've been pretty much full members of the team since then, which is great.
Yeah,
and they've been very, very helpful with this whole meta app lab upgrade.
That's such a unique situation to be in,
that's
to be able
awesome.
to pull that off. It's like you talk about timing, location, place, everything, all having to line up perfectly for an opportunity that works out well for everyone. And I can't believe it's still just the two of you. That's crazy.
And are they still going to be the publisher for, tentatively named Arcaxer 2?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, most likely.
No, that's awesome. a perfect relationship.
Yeah.
It's not broke.
It's great, yeah.
A strong publisher is an underrated element by consumers, I think. I don't think most people understand how important that kind of stuff is.
I'm really excited about not having to help with taxes next year.
Yeah, two people is that's a game going to the official store of this quality.
Dude, I thought I was gonna be like probably
maybe they're up to 6. Yeah, I was gonna get 6 by now. Yeah,
community managers and all these.
Well, we've brought on a temporary marketing team. A friend we made at GDC, Ashley Riot. She's been handling our comms for the last couple of months. So that's been really helpful.
Nope, underrated.
Yeah, and
it's super important to have.
Yeah,
I've been seeing you guys make the podcasting and kind of VR show rounds the last week or two as well. So that's freaking awesome for you guys. I hope
there's people aren't dumb. There's excitement.
Yeah, and I think this is a game that for people who are diehard consumers of VR, who are out there in App Lab, like you said, on side quest, you're gonna know about Arcaxer. You've probably played Arcaxer, but what is the actual percentage of VR users who are those kind of diehards? I think, it's one thing to launch on the official Quest store, but people got to know who you are too. So I think you guys are doing it right. You're getting the word out. I think it's one of those games that a lot of people, like, if you ask them what type of game do you want, they would probably describe Arcaxer to you. They just don't know it exists yet.
I used to troll the Reddits looking for literally every VR Reddit, looking for RPG, looking for Skyrim, looking for Zelda. And people would describe Arcaxer, like, why doesn't this game exist? And I would tell them to go buy it, and they would tell me to stop shilling. And then that was a lot of fun.
Gotta shill. We're a 2-man team.
Yeah, it's what you're asking for,
Yeah. My only beef really that's existed with App Lab is the visibility and the exposure. And had obviously begged for a button on them, but we know why that doesn't happen as well.
Yeah, I feel differently about it these days.
So it's like just to know that these games that are moving up are going to get a little bit of that visibility that it's
I'm really
marketing
happy to
struggle.
be listed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Like someone
Discoverable.
searches for it, it doesn't come up with a pop-up warning.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Well, and we're in the RPG tag now, which is great. So if you're thinking, well, I wish I had an RPG where I could do all these things, you just type in RPG and there we are.
That's going to be one of the few games that when you go and search by tag, I'll say right now, you go search by RPG, or at
I
least
think there's like 10. One of them's a house flipping simulator.
it's not what you're looking for. It's not what your brain says when you go, I want to find an RPG game. You're going to go, what? So I think having Arcaxer on
like
that
a
list,
real RPG.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be like, oh my God, this is actually what I'm looking for. So I can't wait. Is the store page discoverable right now? If you go
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yep.
And
Since Thursday.
I believe you said it at the start, but remind me, what's the official launch date as well?
It was Thursday, October 13th.
So officially launched already. Yeah, that's freaking. That's awesome. What's the reception been like as well since you've already gotten on the store? Has it?
Yeah, it's been
Have you
amazing.
noticed?
We've had nothing but 5-star reviews since launch, which is really cool.
Awesome. That's
Because you don't know for sure, because when you're on App Lab, like you said, you kind of have more of that hardcore audience, and I feel like there's kind of a more expectation for when people play your games. They're like, oh yeah, this is an indie studio, I'm probably going to give them a good review, like this is a cool game. But when you go on the official store, your audience is changing, and you don't know like what's the more average VR player going to think of this game. So it's kind of a question mark if you're still going to get those good reviews or not. So we're really happy that so far the reception's been really good.
well, I think it's it's very clear what it is, so it's not one that you're going to go with unless
It's
you
not
like
age.
RPGs.
It's not age specific either, because it's
No,
like
there's
shit.
no-
I'm 52. I loved it.
No, and it's also not like if you were, 15 or 16, it's going to be too sophisticated or adult.
dude,
If you like
definitely
RPGs, it's not
too
like
sophisticated.
Yeah, if you can like legally terms of service use a Quest, like you're in our demo.
Yeah, there's a reason I didn't say 12 years old. Yeah, I'm a big supporter of that 13 requirement. Just especially for multiplayer games. It's
Yeah. Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to listen to that directly in my ear.
No, there's other apps for that.
so. Again, it's one of those questions I'm going to say again. Oh, and congratulations! I just pulled it up. I had to confirm 4.9 overall as of the time that we're speaking right now.
So when they do the ratings, there's no carryover from past App Lab ratings.
But they did carry them all over, which was really good for us because when we launched on the store, we already had that top rated ribbon on there, which I'm sure helped us a lot.
Oh, it's got it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not many 4.9s on the store. I know Puzzling Places is 4.9. I
Dude,
can't think of
anything above 4 is like
it's tough.
I'm sleeping pretty good.
Yeah, and right now it's got at the time that we're talking. By
This
the time
moment.
it's gonna change. It's got 109 total ratings, but check this, 69 reviews.
Nice.
Nice.
That's actually a good ratio.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's really high. Yeah.
yeah. Again, it's one of those things. If you're buying this game, it's because you like RPGs, and if you like RPGs, you're probably gonna like this game. So it's that 4.9 is like that for a reason.
I'm excited. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah. And again, what I was going to say before, I totally understand if this can't be talked about yet, but I'm just an annoying little pest. That's what I do. When you say co-op for the sequel, are you right? Are you looking at 2 players, or are you thinking like up to 4? Whenever I hear co-op, my brain says 2. But
I'm thinking up to 4 because we want to do a full party system for the next game where you're actually collecting party members throughout the story and equipping them with gear and everything. And I want to design this in a way where you can kind of swap out your NPC party members for real players. So I think being able to bring in a full party for combat would be really cool.
see, that was even one of the things that I had said while we were.
I thought you were being greedy when you said 4. Honestly, I'm like, are you really saying that?
Yeah, you had that.
I was
look.
like, I was looking away. I'm like, I can't believe what happened. 2's fine. Why are you pushing?
Well, I'll be honest. If you had said, no, look, it's still a quest, we're going to do 2 people, I would have been like, yeah, that makes sense. But I hear up to 4 now in this game. Ooh. And, one of the things I had said when we reviewed it was that the game play style of the game, because you have your companions in there, I could see conceptually how co-op would work. So when you say, take the role of some or replace the companions for players, I'm like, oh man, to be able to play through the story together, it's not just a specific, co-op mode or something like that. That's
if it's half as long as the first one. You're talking some pretty serious,
Do you have
serious playtime, and that's like again. You remember, I ran through some shit. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta get through.
And do you have like how games will be like, it's 10 hours of story, which is always tough to gauge because how do they get that? Who played that? Me,
Yeah.
I search everything. I'm going to spend, like you said, days on the treadmill itself. But do you guys have like an estimated story length time on this? I know that's probably a tough one.
Yeah, based on
Um,
informal polls, 15, 20 hours, including the casino malware, 20 hours is a pretty solid baseline to expect.
When you guys were on App Lab for 20 hours story for a VR App Lab game
Yeah,
is just it makes so much sense. It's on
the story it's a
it
better
doesn't
home.
feel right for it to be on App Lab.
No, and we had truthfully bitched from the moment we played it.
Yeah.
Without understanding details
And
of
the
frame
technical
rates and all
which we
that
understand
crap,
a little bit
but
more
it's
now,
like,
but
every now and then there's a product that do what you got to do to get it to where it needs to go because it deserves to.
well,
If it's not a dead product, and it's like you guys have put in countless thousands of friggin' hours and still going. I'm still blown away with the 2.
Aaron referenced, skimming, Reddit posts and seeing people ask about these type of games, and that's because they exist. Like I'm on Reddit all the time on the VR subreddits. People want VR RPGs, and there was one with 20+ hours story. Because people didn't know about it, so it's so good that it's on.
It's gonna
the
be
official
neat
store.
to watch. Like I'm gonna be more interested in a year from now, looking to see not necessarily where it's gone, even if it was finished today, just what the overall total reception. It's kind of a game changer because it's definitely not like it could feel like something you've played before, but at the same time, it is definitely not like anything you've played before.
No, it's gonna feel like that classic, RPG when you first start playing and you're in the top-down view mode, and then combat's gonna start, and you're like, "Oh shit, I'm in a VR game."
Yeah, I wasn't prepared.
Yeah, things are moving fast. So two-man dev team, game just dropped on the Quest store. I'm sure that there's 1,000 things you guys want to work on. So I appreciate you guys taking time out of your schedule and spending it and just chit-chatting with us a little bit. But before we wrap this baby up, is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about, with updates or anything like that we didn't touch on yet?
I think we covered most of the major stuff.
That's
If
awesome.
anything, I'd just say, if you haven't tried the game yet, definitely go out and try it because I think it's a really unique experience that if you're a big RPG fan, there's not really any other game like it out there, and I think it's worth giving it a shot.
Definitely. If the game sounds fun to you, it probably is. And hop on our Discord and say hi.
Yes, and so if any of our listeners want to go find it, where can they find you guys on social media and maybe, check out that Discord server?
So we're at Arcaxer VR on Twitter. We are arcaxer.com if you want to find our Discord link. We got a ton of people in the Discord all the time discussing strategies and the new updates and everything. And then on YouTube, we are Overrun Games.
Perfect. I always like it when things are easy to find on social media, like on Twitter and stuff like that. And just arcaxer.com, nice and easy.
Yeah, no,
That's
we've
awesome.
seen some, your game could call be blue, but for some reason your thing is magenta.com.
Yeah, right.
8865.
And we'll attest to it. Hey, you can go listen to our review of it.
Yeah,
but
the words were legit.
we gave it our App Lab Game of the Year for a reason. And it's a damn good game. So
that's why when we heard they were going to the store, I was pretty stoked.
Yeah,
you guys called it.
Well, no, it's like sometimes like when things like that happen, truthfully, it adds some validity sometimes to like, because at the end of the day, what I say might just be a personal opinion. And it's like, it's nice to know when sometimes personal opinions are the masses of everyone's personal opinions.
Yeah, the professionals over at Meta agreed this should be on the official Quest store.
Yeah. So it just validates sometimes, like, go, oh, thank God. We've never gotten hate for a game we said we loved. So this one just happened to be the one that we personally thought was game of the year.
Right. So one more thing before we let you go. It just popped in. And I was like, oh my God, I think I'll wake up at 3 a.m. in self-frustration. And asked us, what was the total amount of time it took to get it, would you say, from the official store? I think I referenced it a little bit with the back end stuff. You guys said.
Yeah, but not time.
Maybe a month. Yeah. What was the total time when you guys said, hey, we have the opportunity on the Quest store and then launch?
Let's see. It's
kind of
probably
fuzzy.
Yeah, probably eight months.
Well, we got the news in January, March, April. I think in April. It was right after GDC.
Okay.
We had I think April or May. I know I had given up on getting onto the store because it was just radio silence. And yeah, so I think 6-7 months of it was polish, it was strategy prep, it was a lot of meetings.
That must have been so hard to keep your mouth shut about every time after that you heard somebody be like, "Why aren't you on the official Quest store?" And
Oh yeah,
I
teeth
hope I will.
gritting.
I hope I am one day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome though. So
No, but it's also inspirational, I think, when other people who currently aren't in the store can go, you know what, these guys did it.
Yeah.
They waited it out, or they kept sending whatever you did to get to where you are. It shows other people, as with all the other developers who are slowly getting the invite or the begging push. Who knows?
For those
it
currently
can be done.
For those currently in radio silence, there's hope.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I had a game and I never saw any of the people in my community that I'm all working with going anywhere, I'd start feeling a little like,
Yeah,
how does this actually really work? Is this a lottery thing now? But to see that like people actually do pay attention and they follow your stuff, even if it seems like they don't, I think it's pretty inspirational.
So props to you guys, because I would have been a lot more frustrated than you were, just because of the lack
with
of
the product. Yeah,
just because of the lack of the genre
a
representation.
little spiteful.
Yeah, it's one. If you guys were making a rhythm game, I probably wouldn't be petitioning or been petitioning for it, because we have a lot of those.
Well,
but,
you are an RPG lover, though,
and there's not really any of them.
Yeah,
so I mean, hey. So again, though, guys, hey, thank you for joining us today. Hopefully, we can talk to you, and I'm sure we'll talk again before a couple of years, but we'll definitely have you on when tentatively named sequels ready to be talked about more, and I can't wait to do co-op in that. I'm so excited. So if you guys haven't played Arcaxer yet, go check them out. They just launched on the official Quest store. That's huge, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.